Hey everybody, my next guest is an award-winning writer, director, actor, podcaster, and comedian with over 40 million views online and can be seen on the Slick and Thick podcast on Gas Digital. Here he is, the one and only Big Mac himself, Gerard Michaels. Gerard, what's up, brother?
What's going on, bro? What's going on? I got to update that IMDb. So we're up to like 400 million views. But yeah, awesome. What's happening?
Yeah, man, you're doing your thing, bro. You're making it happen, man. Out there,
very lucky, having fun with it, bro.
Yeah, because you like do it all, man. You, not just the comedy, you do sketch, you do the podcast. You're out there grinding it out on the stand-up circuit.
Well, you've seen me do it, so a lot of people I think I'm lying when I say this stuff, but you've been behind the scenes. You know how it goes.
Yeah, right on, man. I had the privilege of working with you on that show tonight, Joe, a little bit, and seeing you in action, seeing what you bring to the table and these things, and not only how funny you are, and also understanding of utilizing yourself as a prop, your size and things like that, but also the smarts, the brains. You definitely have a full package going forward into this stuff, man.
I appreciate that, and for all the women listening, it's a very full package. Make no mistake about it.
Especially
it's a veiny package, though. It's a veiny, girthy, youthful package. The grays in my beard belie the ability of the package. But as John said, it's a full package.
Veiny, girthy package. There you go.
That's right. So that's what I'm going to take. I'm going to change the IMDb to 40 million views to a veiny, girthy package.
Yeah. Over 400 million views and a grainy, girthy package. That's awesome. But yeah, man, I mean, what I love about what you're doing and what seems to all of your work has in common is definitely reflection of the times. You all of your work, whether it's the stand-up, the podcast, the sketches, all comes down to kind of current events, what we're going through in the moment. And these days, every single day you wake up and there's new material to work with, whether it's so, and you're taking the good, bad, and the ugly and making it into gold.
Well, I said this on the Drinking Bros podcast, because Dan Holloway, great guy, is like, do you even have to write anymore, or does this stuff just present itself? And I say, the weird thing is the material is as obvious as ever. Figuring out a way to present it where you can get around the censors is now the new art form, right?
Right.
You talked about that show tonight. I wrote the Sabatini sketch, and me and Michael and Jake, we really had a lot of fun trying to figure out, all right, like what's an avenue, what's a venue by which we can say, this world's kind of crazy, right? Like, oh, well, what if we made it that, all right, we actually want the mob back. All right, whatever the mob was bad, but this government's like way worse. So here we are, these mobsters coming out of the shadows going, we did some things, but is it really worse? Were you not better? And I mean, just the juxtaposition of that, it was like, oh yeah, please, I'd much rather have the mob. Like, give me the criminals back, please. Give me the criminals that at least admit they're criminals. I'll take it. And this, those 4 videos have got like millions of views. And what's crazy is that gets censored on Instagram. They take it down off the story. This goes against community standards. And then I see on my feed, there's guys out in South Africa going, kill the boa, kill the farmer, shoot to kill. 17 million views, stunning and brave.
Shoot to kill, Kilawa. Shoot to kill, Namaza.
Sabatini's is satire. No. This is too much violence. This is too much violence.
It definitely feels like the table is tilted, like, and for one side versus the other, no matter what they say. And I don't know what the reason is. There's got to be a deeper reason because it's not like it's the good old days when it was right wing versus left wing, Republicans, Democrats, and now it's almost like common sense versus insanity. And because even people that generally lefties like Bill Maher are now like on the side right there alongside a lot of conservatives.
But there's a reason why the term woke has come to signify going too far and doing things that don't make sense.
Yeah, if you're a George Carlin liberal, if you're an 80s and 90s liberal, you're a far right extremist today. You know, like I've been labeled a far right Nazi for being pro free speech, anti-war, anti-drug criminalization. I don't think anybody should be judged by the color of their skin, whether that's positively or negatively. And now I'm a Nazi because we don't know what words mean anymore. So, it's nobody in history has had the unintentional PR comeback that Hitler has had. This is one of the single worst human beings to ever walk the face of the earth. And he's getting compared to like people who won't bake a cake for a gay guy anymore. It's like, oh man, maybe this Hitler guy wasn't so bad after all. I mean, like, wow, you called my little league coach a Nazi for one of his posts. I liked that guy. He was nice. He bought me ice cream. Maybe Hitler would have bought me ice cream. It's like, stop doing it. Stop doing what you're doing. Stop making real, legitimately concerned middle-class Americans out to be one of the worst genocidal totalitarian dictators of all time. Stop it. What are you, out of your minds?
Well, yeah, that seems, it seems part of their motives on the other side there. The other side, it's really the global.
If we want to like call them what they are, right? It's really the globalists versus, let's call them the nationalists, right? I don't like that term. Localists. How about that? It's a better term. Globalists versus localists.
Right.
And when I came to this understanding, and I hope your audience can follow me on this, Don, is the left, the quote unquote left, the woke, whatever you call them, they're not dumb. They're manipulative. It's a very important distinction to understand. We think that they're stupid. We think they're naive. We think this is something that they're going to grow out of. They're not. They know exactly what they're doing, and they're doing it for a reason. It's a very important distinction to be made, because when someone's dumb or they're naive or they're immature, you're like, okay, I'll give them a chance. Put up with their nonsense, they'll grow. When someone's manipulative, you got to nip that shit in the bud immediately, because they're doing what they're doing for a purpose. So that's my lecture for this evening. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
No, I think that's a good point, and we just got to find out what the reason is. And there's lots of conspiracies of why, and some of them are become showing its face to be true in certain ways.
It's a global takeover. I mean, come on, it's not even a conspiracy to say it. They tell you what they want. They want global federalism. They want a weakened United States so that they can bring in their one. See, the thing is that they are the smart, good people, and that we are the evil people that are ruining the country with our gas stoves, and we're going to poison the waters. And these poor billionaires are not going to be able to live 1,000 years. Don't you understand, Don? So it's they have to save the earth from us by force to bring in peace. Don't you understand?
And that's what they're doing. Like, you got Klaus Schwab over there with the WEF. Yeah, and it's scary when you see and hear some of the things. I mean, a lot of it you can find right on YouTube, like the whole, own nothing and be happy, and all the control and the site. Now he's talking about massive cyber attack that could destroy. You'll
be very proud to know that we have leaders from the Young Leadership Council in every government in the world. What?
Yeah,
you can't make a Bond villain more comically trope than Klaus Schwab. From what he dresses, to the way he looks, his aesthetic, his voice, his goals, this is like, I'm looking around, I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, next thing is everybody just gonna stand up and say Hail Hydra? Or what is this a simulation? What are we doing right now? That's the bad guy. We've never, like Hitler, easiest bad guy ever. Easy. Yeah, no, that's the bad guy. We found the bad guy. That's the bad guy. Yes, we have infiltrated your entire government, and we're going to change everything about the world, or else. Yeah, no, the bad guy. Guys, we found him. We know who it is. Hey, SEAL Team 6, what are we doing? What's going on here?
Can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain waves, and I can immediately tell you how the people react, or I can feel how the people react to your answers. Is it imaginable?
I think that is imaginable.
And the fact that he's not a household name, though, like in the 40s, they didn't even have TV or social media like that, but everybody knew Hitler was. Everybody knew Hitler was the bad guy. With this situation, this guy, even though, like, you know,
we started talking about the bad guys, and Hudson got scared. He's like,
no. What's up, Hudson? But yeah, man, it's like he's, even though he's accessible, people could find him if they seek them out. He's not talked about like a lot. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like a mainstream villain.
Yeah.
And I feel like he might be being protected.
Institutional capture. They talk about institutional capture. Their Brett Weinstein is a great follow on Twitter. Alex Berenson, James Lindsay, some of the academics, former left wing, now, you know, the people that see it clearest are the people that were in it, really, and have kind of like escaped that cult, for lack of a better term. You know, but really what they talk about is institutional capture, that these far left globalist crazies have, you know, they've undergone a 20 to 30 year plan to capture all of our educational institutions, all of our media, right? So all of the informational avenues, right? Any place where, you know, knowledge is power, they've monopolized the power there. Right. You know, even, hey, listen, man, even Fox News is putting out some pretty woke shit lately, man. And you got to be like, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time, you know? And again, that's where something like that show tonight is so important. That's where something like, I really wish I could get people to understand the only chance you have, the only non-violent chance we have, let me say,
right,
is financial disobedience. Right? Like using your wallet to vote every single, we saw what happened with Bud Light, right?
Yeah.
Which honestly I thought was an overreaction. I think that there were really good people that got hurt because people were sick and tired of it and they wanted to make a stand. And I get it. But I'd like to see it happen on a broader scale. Vote with your wallet every chance you can. And people don't realize like what a difference it makes. Like 2,000 people in my world, 2,000 people willing to give me $5 a month. Those 2,000 subscribers are worth more than 1 million views, right? Because what that does, it's not even the money. It's not about getting rich, because production costs a ton of money. People have no idea how much studio time costs, how much post-production costs. You know, they think, they see us all over the internet and are like, man, you're really crushing it. And I'm like, yes, I am. My credit score reflects that. So,
true.
You know, the idea is freedom. If I am getting the money from you directly, my audience, my consumer, I can say whatever I want. I can preach your worldview. I can be the tip of the spear for you. But if you don't engage financially, if you're like, well, I like your stuff and I share your stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but then they take it down and demonetize me. So what, you know, I can't talk about, hey, how come you don't do these videos anymore? Well, because they got my page flagged. Oh, you still do them, fight the machine. Okay. $5 a month, my Patreon, I'll do them. Crickets. That's it. Guys, you got to support it. If a cup of coffee is worth more to you than freedom of speech, I have a saying, you know, we all get the world we deserve, Don. You know what I mean?
Indeed, man.
I really wish people would understand, like, and I get it. It's very hard. There's 1,000 different commentators, 1,000 different influencers, and we're all looking for money, and we're all looking, buy this, buy that. We're all out there. I get it. But if you have somebody like that you really like, you know, that $5 subscription for them goes a long way. It really does. You know, if you got 1,000 people giving you $5, and you can at least cover the production needed to keep this thing going and be the voice you need to be.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. I mean, yeah, everybody wants to, complain about the way things are going and this and that, but when the push comes to shove, they're not really taking the initiative all that they can and support people like you guys that are kind of outspoken and not afraid, for lack of a better way to put it, to speak out.
Well, I bet my career on it, bro. And I wrote on TV. I wrote on the Wendy Williams show. Like, I bet my career on this. I had a very clear decision to make. I could have shut up and done the whole white people are evil, wear your mask and, literally take your medicine routine. And maybe I'd have a Netflix special by now. But now, but I decided being truthful, being honest, standing up for the vulnerable was more important than personal gain, and I'm all right with that. I don't think I could be one of these guys who, towed the company line and said what, China wanted them to say. And, and now they got their Marvel contract. Good for them. But you're a bitch forever, like
sold the soul.
Arnold, you lived your whole life being a hero. And now all anybody remembers is screw your freedom.
Right. Yeah.
Is it worth it? I don't think it's worth it, man. But on the other end, what I don't want to happen, Don, what I don't want to see happen is this revisionist shit that you're starting to see with some celebrities coming out, like making fun of Fauci and making fun of the woke now that it's popular to do so. Bill Maher, God bless him, good for him, because he's still on the left. He's still one of those guys, and he's still taking the punches. But it took him 3 years. Right. Dennis Prager told him he was full of shit 3 years ago. Now, Bill Maher, to his credit, admitted that Prager was right. And I know that had to make him throw up in his mouth when he was doing it. But there's a lot of people now that are coming out and realizing, the woke mob doesn't actually care about anything they claim to care about. They only care about power. They only want you to bend the knee. They don't really care what it's about. Everything woke is a grift. Are we, does everybody not know this now? Do we not realize this is all just about money? All the woke shit is just a grift. Black Lives Matter was just to buy these Marxist mansions in LA. They didn't do shit for the people. Am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to say the truth?
So Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors has allegedly spent thousands of dollars on renovating the backyard at her $1.4 million home in Los Angeles. Updates include the construction of a plunge pool as well as a backyard sauna.
The women's soccer team, I just posted it today. They got $7 million. They brought in $3.5 million.
Is there a memory that stands out to you right now in this moment?
Probably equal pay chance. They were saying equal pay, but could have been saying a lot of things. I think this team has always fought for so much more.
It's a fucking grift. Excuse my language. I don't know if I can curse, but
no,
you can edit it in post.
No, we're good. No,
it's a grift. It's a con. Have you morons never been conned before? Like, when did this country become so freaking vulnerable? When did we become gullible like this? Like, we're so gullible. Like, oh my God, AOC's crying. Oh my God, the climate is boiling. How do we stop it? Give the politicians money. So if I give the politicians money, the temperature of the sky will go down. It's the only way.
How dare you?
Yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and I think
there's
a lot of
virus in the air, Don. There's a deadly virus in the air.
Triple mask.
Gonna die. Oh my God, how do we stop it? You got to give the government money. If you give the government the money, the air won't be toxic. What? Yeah, just $9 trillion, and don't ask where any of it went. Don't ask a question. $9 trillion, and we'll make the cough stop. What?
And we don't worry about Fauci driving around in the Benz or anything. Yeah.
Hey, shut down your business for 2 years. All right, you evil bastard. All right. If it saves just one life, wear 2 masks and take this experimental medication. If it saves just one life. Oh yeah, and by the way, we're gonna take all your tax money and send it for bombs into Ukraine. We're cool with that, right? Like, So we're over that save one life thing. Now it's all Russians.
It is crazy. The world's upside down. So, like you mentioned about like Fox News and the news channel. See, my philosophy is that we're all kind of brainwashed to some degree, and we would always get to choose. The one thing we could choose is it going to be CNN, MSNBC, or are you going to go Fox route? And then from there, they dip into your head. But when you start to realize,
that's a great point. Go ahead, finish.
Oh, I was going to say, when you start to realize that you might be getting brainwashed, right?
Yeah, so that's like one of those things that they say is the illusion of choice. Like one of the ways to help the brainwashing or to facilitate that kind of like manipulation is to give you the illusion of choice. Like, okay, so there's this person telling me this and this person telling me this. Oh, well, this guy's crazy. I'm going to listen to this guy. But it's the same voice. It's two wings of the same bird. That is the tactic.
Because that's what happened with me. You know, you talk about like Fox News, and you watch. I'm a Fox News watcher in the past. That's how I discovered Loftus and et cetera, et cetera. But the thing is that after a while, I start to realize every time I watch the news, I'm getting pissed off. I'm getting mad because they keep showing me clips of The View, or they show me Joy Reid, or the shit, to piss you off. Like, look, here's what the other side's doing, creating more and more division. So then you start to wonder, is this a big, like your thing, we're all being played? Is this a big con? Are we being played against ourselves? And is like, who can you trust anymore? It's just nuts, man. Like when you like where do you get your news from? Like, where's a reliable source that you trust? Is there one?
So, but this is where I feel for people, right? Like I don't trust any news source. So I spend a lot of time. I have journalists that I tend to trust who I think are good. And then their sources lead me down kind of like a fact-finding mission, right? Like I think a guy like Glenn Greenwald is very much interested in the truth, right? So, but he's got a biased anti-government perspective that appeals to my biased anti-government perspective. So I have to check myself. And then what I find very interesting is when I'll take something from like Glenn Greenwald or like Matt Taibbi's Substack.
Right.
And then I'll look on Fox News. And it'll be a story about Joe Biden's corruption. And it'll be the second story on Fox News. Okay. Then I'll go on CNN. Donald Trump indicted. Donald Trump kicked a bunny. Why electing Donald Trump would give kids terminal cancer. Then all the way down about like seventh story, Joe Biden might have been corrupt, but it's really Donald Trump's fault. That's the headline, right? Right. MSNBC, scroll for days. It's not even on there. Right. So it's not just about the story is the worst part. It's about news curation. It's about the conversation, right? So they've created an environment where we're not even living in the same reality.
Right.
It's not about where you get your news. It's where you get your reality. Like what's important isn't even, we can't even agree on what's important. Like it's not like, hey, is this black or is this white? It's, hey, is this important or should we not even talk about it? Right. We can't even agree on that. That's where it becomes very, very, very difficult because, there's things that I'm hyper concerned about that even intelligent people I deal with don't even know are happening. Yeah. Right? Like there's things, one of the things to with Slick and Thick, what I love is we reach a younger generation that's pretty apolitical. Even though I'm a pretty political guy, we talk about sports, talk about girls, we talk about politics, but it's really just like two guys that are great friends that are just BSing, right? And we get into these kind of like really deep topics. We get into like esoteric stuff and we get into important stuff. And the best compliments that I get from people when they come up to us is they go, dude, I never knew about this until I watched your show. And it could be something about the Kennedy assassination. It could be something about, Operation Paperclip. And people are like, bro, I never heard of Operation Paperclip. And like guys like me and you were like, everybody knows about that. No, but they've whitewashed the internet from this younger generation now.
Yeah,
these
crazy.
These aren't in the history books these kids are reading. There's not these aren't the videos that are coming up on their TikTok and Instagram.
What was Operation Paperclip? Operation Paperclip was a plan done by the United States intelligence apparatus in which the United States recruited former German scientists, engineers, and technicians. What was initially done as a plan to recruit German military scientists in hopes to advance the research and development of new technologies quickly turned into a race to snatch up as many former German technicians as possible in hopes to claim technological superiority over the increasingly hostile appearing Soviet Union. The United States had recruited over 1,600 personnel from the former German government, which included industrial technicians, rocket scientists, aerospace engineers, and many other specialists.
They're letting us die out, and then the younger generations, they're hoping, are just like propagandized into death. And so what they're doing is lies by omission, right? So it's like, hey, I'm not going to lie. Look, Joe Biden's corrupt. Are we going to run an article defending Joe Biden? We can't. So what are we going to do? Just ignore it.
Just completely ignore it, like they did with the Hunter's laptop, and
it'll go away.
Yeah.
It's Russian disinformation. Oh, it's not? Oh, well, anyway.
Right. And that's what's weird, too, is that the other side they'll see, like, let's say Hunter Biden. Okay, they said it was, that the laptop was fake. It was the Russian hoax and all that stuff. But then they find out that it's real, and then they still go, oh, well, he's a sick guy, and his dad really loves him. So they always find these ways out, these loopholes.
They're not dumb. They're manipulative.
Yep, exactly. And
that's not dumb. They're manipulative, man. All these guys are Ivy League attorneys. They're not dumb.
Yeah,
they're just soulless. They don't care. See, that one of the biggest problems facing America that nobody wants to talk about is that we're run by attorneys, and attorneys are trained, professionally trained winners. They don't care about the repercussions of their winning. They're just there to win. That's it. Right? Like that. It's my job to represent my client, and my client is the Democratic Party. That's not a way to run a society in the long term. I think there's going to be a big comeuppance, and shit. I don't know if I'm almost rooting for it, but
it feels like
we can't continue on this way, where we're just getting robbed. And you look out the window, and everything's beautiful. Life's never been better, except for the excessive freaking prices. And they're like, there's a race war. You go out in town, races are getting along perfectly well. There's an imminent disease. Everybody's just hanging out. Life is fine. The real disease infecting America is Washington, D.C., which has been bought and sold 10 million times over by our enemies. Our government is no longer beholden to us, Don. That's the bottom line. And so what I try to do with comedy, because this drives me out of my mind, and I get violently angry and revolutionary, instead of resorting to my baser instinct, right. I use satire to try to explain to people, like, guys, maybe these people don't deserve your support. Maybe, just maybe, okay? Like in my new bit, I'm working on a new bit now that's going pretty well, and like some of my Republican friends are like, you're going soft on Democrats. I'm like, I'm not here to hurt Democrats. Right. I love Democrats. I've got Democrats in my family. I want Democrats to wake the fuck up.
Right. We just need everybody.
Democrats to die off. You people are sick. I don't want to. I don't wake up every day going, let's own the libs. I wake up every day going, today's the day. These guys are going to realize they've been manipulated. And they're, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel legitimately bad for my Democratic friends. Most of them were just young, really optimistic, right?
Right.
And these evil commie bastards saw these kids a mile away, and they said, oh, yeah, there's a sucker. Hey, what do you want? I just want a more equal world. I want affordable health care and happy Black people. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll do that. But first, cut your kid's dick off.
Yeah, right.
What? What was that? Yeah. You want equality? Yeah. There's 39 genders. This drag queen gets to read to your toddler in a thong, and if you say anything about it, you're the bad guy. And oh, by the way, we're going to take 60% of your tax money and send it to our donors in the Ukraine. Is that all right? Or are you racist?
Right, exactly. That race card got him took him a long way. That's for sure. Because every time they say that word, that's one of those words where nobody wants to be. Oh, I'm not a racist. Tell here's my money, or
whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. But I think people are starting to push back now. We're seeing it, like you said, even with like the Bud Light kind of stuff, and Ben and Jerry and things like you see people with Americans. I think are starting to find, starting to see the light in what you said. We got to take him in the wallet. It's the only way.
I think Don. I think guys in the middle class, we've thought this way for years. Where Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, where they really screw up is they don't give us a secondary market. Like there's no reason that there's just zero reason why there can't be movie studios in Nashville putting out pro-American content. Right, it's just money, man. There's no reason why there can't be pro-American music labels. There's no reason why there can't be pro-America manufacturing companies. There's zero reason. It's money. It really comes down to money. And if anything bothers me, there's no reason why there can't be pro-America tech firms. There's just literally no reason. I mean, Elon Musk, it's just all these people, they don't put their money where their mouth is. They want to whine and they want to complain. A lot of people, see, this is the thing. We hate the woke because it's easier to be a victim than it is to be a hero.
Exactly.
Right? It's a lot easier to fail than it is to succeed. It's a lot easier to secure sympathy and empathy than it is to gain respect. The right does it too. Oh, another woke Barbie movie coming from Hollywood. Bro, Ben Shapiro, you owned a fucking movie studio.
Right, yeah.
You own the Daily Wire. Make a movie.
For those of you who can't wait that long, I'm going to give my review of the Barbie movie in the most Oppenheimer fashion.
What the Run.
I think I forget who said it. I forget who said it. It might have actually even been you. Somebody said that the left weaponized empathy. And I think that is true and a great point, because they did like you said weaponize that, where feel sorry for me, I'm a trans and nobody likes me and this and that, or whatever you may be, I'm Asian, I'm black, whatever you might be, that draws empathy. And then what they do from there is then they put the onus on you, in the regular world, to have to pay the piper for them.
You're being transphobic, Karen. Now get out.
Call me transphobic.
You are transphobic. Now get out.
I want a refund.
You're not having one. Go to the police.
Then.
Hi, get out.
Absolutely.
You are trespassing now.
They've got cameras.
You are trespassing.
They've
Get
got
out.
cameras.
Get out. You are trespassing.
Apparently, Wu said something transphobic.
You actually, you basically.
Another part of it is power dynamics, right? Like we went from, hey, respect your elders, Mr. and Mrs. this, Dr. this, right? To, hey, you don't know me, but these are my pronouns. Do what I say. So immediately, before you even know the person's name, you have to do what they tell you to do. Hey, you know what the English language is. No. This is my world, baby. You call me what I say you call me.
If you're cis and you won't date trans folks, you're a transphobe. Now, if that made you mad, maybe it's your prejudices that you need to probe.
Right? Yeah. So it's a power dynamic. If you were trans, you would just introduce yourself like, hey, I'm Tom. Nice to meet you. Hey, what's up, Tom? Like, when does he or she even come into it?
Right.
And if I gendered you and you were cool about it, you'd be like, hey, look, I actually go by she. I'd be like, all right, cool. You got it, man.
Right.
Or do that. Sorry. But there's like a humanity to it. The fact that they're immediately like, Okay, stop. And even the way that they speak, look at their look at their vernacular, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Chip on the shoulder.
What we're not gonna do is, okay. I never wanted to do that until you told me we're not gonna do it. And guess what's happening here? That and only that.
Right, exactly, man.
You do something about it. Like, no. Power dynamics. It's power dude. I mean, not to oversimplify, but all this stuff is communism. It's honestly been done before. This is just a cultural revolution. And again, we're so bad at history in this country, probably on purpose. Like, this is lockstep, line by line, what they did. The Bolshevik plight of the proletariat, you know?
After the 1917 Russian Revolution, the Bolsheviks took power. Led by Lenin, they established the dictatorship of the proletariat and founded the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. The economy, the press, education, and government institutions came under the control of the party, which had absolute power over society.
They've tried this in America for 100 years, but they can't do the class warfare thing in America because we believe in upward mobility. We believe if you do the right things and if you work hard, I can move up. There is no aristocracy, right?
Right.
See enough idiot kids put legacy incomes up their nose and end up in the gutter. So we know that mobility in a capitalist country is fluid. It's easier for some than others, for sure, but there's fluidity in upward mobility. Then they tried the gender thing, and anybody who's ever lived with a Western woman knows that woman can do whatever she wants to do, and most of the men do what she wants to do anyway. So there was never women make 73 cents. Yeah, well, we pay for 100% of dinners, so I feel like
it's true, right? Yeah,
I feel like I had an uncle get divorced, and he says, I was like, damn, man, you're giving up 50%, man, that's wild. He goes, giving up 50%? Nah, dog, I'm getting 50% back. The last 10 years, she had 100%. Like,
exactly. He's saving money now.
Yeah, bro, I'm getting half my shit back. Now the race thing, they struck gold. They struck gold, man, because that is America's original sin. But again, we teach history incredibly poorly. If you're going to tell me the descendant of Irish Catholics who was raped and pillaged for 1,000 years by the British, that I need to answer for the sins of British colonists? Yeah, no, we're not going to do that.
Did you know white slaves were sold in the 17th century more than blacks in America, with a staggering death rate between 37% to 50%? Modern-day historians call the white slaves indentured servants, and they never refer to them as slaves.
That's what we're not.
Point. Yeah.
If anybody wants to learn any more about that from an unbiased opinion, because he's both black and leftist, read especially The Blacks and the Irish by Ta-Nehisi Coates. All right? So don't come at me with this, white people that bullshit, okay? That's nuance. You're not mad at white people. You're mad at Brits. You're mad at French. Somehow the Spanish and the Portuguese get away scotch-free. I got to listen to Ocasio-Cortez lecture me about privilege. Cortez! Bitch, you've got my skin tone and the last name of the worst conquistador. Right. You are the descendant of a colonizer, and I got to hear you talk to me about privilege? I'm sick, how sick, so sick, the world is twisted. When motherfuckers don't sleep, you get your ass sick. Name me one Irish colony. Don, I will give you $1,000 if you can name me an Irish colony.
Yeah, I would, man, for that kind of money, I wish I could. Yeah. An Irish colony, the old Flatteries.
Yeah, there you go, right? Yeah. Red Hook.
Yeah. But like you said, man, that's a great point, man, because people don't realize that we've all been, at some point or another, especially the Irish, were slaves as well. And it was great, though. That's what I wanted to say. With the presidents, getting back to it, they recently did a ancestry trace back to all the living presidents and to see which ones were slave owners. And they found out that, like, all of the presidents, Jimmy Carter, of course, Georgia, but even Obama, all tie back to being slave owners, except for Donald Trump.
An investigation from news agency Reuters has revealed every remaining living US president, with the exception of Donald Trump, is descended from slave owners. Reuters found 5 living current and former US presidents, including Barack Obama and Joe Biden, had ancestors who owned slaves.
That must have broke their hearts when they when they discovered that.
Yeah. It's especially when they found out that orange is a shade of brown. That really probably,
That's great.
The fact that we give a shit, like the unfortunate truth of humanity is that for the entirety of our species until 100 years ago, so for hundreds of thousands of years, this has been an absolute death match for resource security. This has been a, hey, this is my river, get out of here or else. This has been a, hey, this is my wheat field. These are my mammoth and deer hunting areas. These are my women. All right. I need these women to generate my next generation of soldiers and farmers. You can't have my women, right? People don't know Rome was founded by stealing women. That was the very first thing Rome did when they founded it. It was like, man, this is a cool place. High five. Where the broads at? Oh shit. Let's throw a party and then steal all these guys' women. And that's like this entire world is resource. And this is what drives me out of my mind about these anti-capitalists. It's like, do you have any idea how capitalism saved the world? Like, instead of us having to invade Mexico to plunder the resources and the gold, and imperialism is remarkably expensive, both in terms of cultural expense and in terms of actual expense, having to have an army somewhere, having to suppress the native culture. It's incredibly expensive, right? not to mention morally reprehensible.
Right.
But instead, you put a Burger King and a Starbucks, provide value to an area, and extract resources. That's capitalism ended imperialism. Why would I send armies I have to pay and feed somewhere to subdue sub-Saharan Africa when I can send Nikes? Like, you know what I'm saying? And provide value and get back resources. These people are morons. They're idiots. No, I'm sorry. They're manipulative. They know exactly what they're saying. They're manipulative, man.
It's true.
You know, do you want, like, we're really going to change the world by getting rid of gas stoves, or do these people happen to have a whole lot of money coming in from like General Electric, and they want, how much money is there if every restaurant in America has to go to an electric stove? I feel like some manufacturers are going to make a lot of money, huh?
Yeah, I'm telling you, and with the electricity thing too, there's also an element of control there. They can control ultimately.
No doubt about it.
They could turn you off and on.
But it's more than a control, Don. It's more than a control. Where are these gas stoves going to come from? You think they're going to be made in America?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, they're all coming from China.
You think those you think those electric stoves are gonna be made in Flint, Michigan? Are we gonna pay our enemy who owns all of our debt and is building a currency that is specifically existing to try to destroy the US dollar, and we're gonna give them $1 trillion in electric appliance orders over the next 2 or 3 years? Who would do that?
Yeah.
Who would do it? Somebody told me something the other day. Oh, it was on our podcast. We had one of the January 6th, Scott Fairlamb, who went to jail for January 6th.
Oh, wow.
And he asked a question so simple, but I had never heard it posed like this before. And he said, listen, I'm not saying Joe Biden hates America. All I'm saying is that if you wanted to destroy America, what would you do differently than what he's done? It's a very interesting question. If you wanted to destroy America, what would you do differently?
He's doing everything perfect.
The Financial Times and the Wall Street Journal initially called my plan Bidenomics. I'm not sure they meant it in a totally complimentary way at the time. But guess what? It's working.
He's doing the perfect job. So to the rest of America, he's doing the shittiest job ever. But to the powers that be, whatever Klaus Schwab or China, whoever Biden might answer to, in that scenario, is very pleased because this guy is doing everything. He's destroyed. He literally destroyed almost every single facet of how we live, including the military, or food supply, water.
Millions of dollars to do it from foreign influence.
Yeah.
And listen, at the end of the day, maybe this is the problem with capitalism, right? Like all the good things about capitalism. Our government was for sale. Our government was for sale.
Yeah, man.
The foreigners bought our government. They didn't need to invade our shores. They needed to buy our leaders. And our leaders do not belong to us anymore. You talked about it before with Mitch McConnell, and it doesn't seem like left versus right. It's not. It's who represents America and who doesn't.
It's working.
And I'll say this, I'm not a big Donald Trump guy. I think he bloviates. I think he picks fights he shouldn't fight. But I never once, for a second, thought that he put America behind any other foreign interests.
Right.
And I'd settle for that. It's like the Sabatini thing. Was the mob perfect? Not by a long shot. Right. But the city was better when they were running it.
Yep. And I agree with that because Trump, for me, I never consider myself a Trumper. But the more they go against Trump, the more they try to get him on everything, the more it just leads me to think this guy must be the good guy because they're trying so hard to stop him. Like, you know what I mean? It's like if that.
But you know what the dangerous thing you're saying there is what? It's a truth. I agree with what you're saying, but there's a dangerous truth that be lied in there. It means that our government's the bad guy.
But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them. And we need the intelligence community. We don't know what's going on. Look at the Russian hacking. Without the intelligence community, we wouldn't have discovered it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's what's scary. That's what's very scary. It gets to a point when you start to really go into it where you don't know who to trust anymore. Like you could, where do you like that? That's what leads me to more of the Trump thing, because if I can't trust the government, if I can't trust the court system, and I don't know, the news, all I could do is go, all right, the guy that they all hate, they must hate him for some. There's got to be a bigger reason why they hate him than just because he banged a porn star.
Yeah, like I hearken it back because I'm an idiot, meathead athlete. I hearken it back to when Jose Canseco came out about steroids, and he wrote the book, and he's like, yeah, 50% of the major leagues is on steroids, and also they're doing blow and cheating on their wives. And then all these people in the media were like, Jose Canseco is a moron. Jose Canseco is a known liar, a known cheater, and everybody just went after Jose Canseco. But even then, I think I was like 19 years old. Even then, it was very obvious to me that none of them are saying he's wrong.
Right.
They're all just saying, it's a character assassination. They're saying Jose Canseco is an asshole, and he very well may be, but he turned out to be telling the truth.
Right. Exactly.
That seems to be like their go-to methodology now is character assassination. Like Trump is this, he's that, he's that. But is he wrong?
Lately, there's a statement that's been out there all over the place. It's a quote from a lot of people. It said, Trump's been right about everything. And if you think about it, I really have. It's my honor to do it, but we have to do something about it. We have to save our country. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
RFK, look at what they're doing with RFK. He's an anti-Semite now.
Yeah, exactly.
He's lived his whole life in the public eye, was never once an anti-Semite until he became a threat to the Democrats. Now he's an anti-Semite.
And it's clear as day.
Is what he's saying wrong?
Right. Yeah, he's going against the grain. He's talking anti-vax. He's anti-Fauci. He calls out Biden. So right there, they put a target on him, and he's also a big threat to Biden in the next election.
He's a scab. It's all a union. He's a scab. He's exactly.
A scab. Is there a way to do you see a light at the end of all this? Is there will this pass, or will it get worse, or what are your thoughts?
Time will pass. The unfortunate tendency with things like this are they tend to get worse before they get better. I don't see the powerful elites going through everything that they've gone through over the last 4 years to just give up power. Definitely not to a guy who's going to be vindictive and hold them accountable. They have too much to lose. If I had to guess if I had to look at my crystal ball and say okay, what happens in 2024? Trump knows he was cheated out of 2020, so he's going to cheat. Biden cheated in 2020. The Democrats cheat. So, by the way, sidebar, hilarious that people are like, the Democrats would never do. They rigged their own primary. They rigged their own primary in plain sight. Donna Brazile admitted to it. Dianne Feinstein admitted to it. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was censured for it, and now she gets to call somebody an anti-Semite and a threat to our democracy. Yeah. A threat to our democracy? You literally subverted a duly elected candidate.
Some of the allegations against Wasserman Schultz include denying the Sanders campaign access to voter data, trying to keep Sanders supporters off of DNC committees, and limiting debates, many of which took place on weekends when viewership was down.
My friends, what's more important, drawing a contrast with Republicans or arguing about debate?
Right? And Bernie Sanders is such a bitch. He just rolled over like the punk that he is, like all communists. He's a punk, right? And he's there. They railroaded him. Bernie Sanders was going to be that nominee, not Hillary Clinton. They railroaded him, right? They rigged their own internal election, but no. So they rigged the election against the people they like, but they won't rig the election against the people they hate. Yeah, sure, whatever. Anyway.
Exactly, man.
For the rest of us in the real world, right, what I could really see happening is, in a worst-case scenario, Trump gets 110 million votes in 2024, and Biden gets 105 million votes. And there's 215 million votes, even though there's only 190 registered voters. And, there's this huge investigation, and then CNN says 50 million Trump votes are illegal. And they're probably right. But they'll never report that 75 million Biden votes are illegal.
Crazy.
And then, worst case scenario, man, an absolute worst case scenario, I can see dominoes falling very, very fast in ways that none of us are able to anticipate. Martial law coming in, Florida, Texas threatening to secede. I can see this thing falling apart in a heartbeat. I think we're much closer to the precipice than people think. But I'm hopeful because a lot more people than at any point in my adult life are questioning their systems, and they're questioning the information. And I think that they're now knowing that they're being lied to. And that's going to make it easier for us as a people to organize and coordinate and stand together. And I really believe comedy, I know this sounds probably so self-righteous, I think comedy has a big, big role to play in that. Satirizing this. Nobody wants to be the idiot. Nobody wants to be the dunce. So satirizing these people, making fun of these woke bullies has had a really big effect on who wants to be seen as woke and who doesn't. People don't want to admit that. But there's not a lot of people with the blue hair and the nose rings and the I'm with her t-shirts walking around anymore. Yeah. You can, there is something to be said for a little positive social pressure, right? There's not a lot of Karens out there anymore. Right?
Yeah.
At their moment, and all of us said, okay.
Yeah, shaming could be powerful.
It's healthy in some way, right? Life is a feedback loop. If it comes from a place of love, it's good. If it comes from a place of hate, it's bad. And this is like so for some of my right-wing people, especially in the comedy world, you've got to be very careful not to make the same mistake the left does, where if all your comedy does is own the libs, you're a bully.
Right, yeah.
And there's nothing funny about being a bully. Oh, let's make fun of the transgender person again. Bro, most transgender people are fucking fine. They're cool.
Right,
It's not the transgender person that's the problem. It's the upper middle class white lady who's taken it upon herself to be their fucking champion.
Right,
who decides that we shouldn't use gendered bathrooms anymore. Like, she's the problem, not the transgender, right? So like the activist is the issue, not who they're advocating for. And you have to really be funny, right? Like there's funny things that happen. Like, the funny thing about the Sabatinis isn't that the woke are nuts, right? The funny thing is that shit's gone so far that we'd rather have the criminals. That's what's funny.
Right, yeah.
Right? Like SNL blew it with Trump because it just became ripping on Trump, bullying the shit out of Trump, but never, ever, ever looking at their side. So there's nothing funny about Joe Biden. He's a cool guy who wears aviators. So now, okay, so you go, okay, I get this. This is propaganda. Now I'm propaganda. Whatever. All right. Like, there has to be something funny. Like, one of the funniest things we ever did with that show tonight, pisses me off and never made the air, was Landau on our Price is Right thing.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's just like, here he is there, and he's like, wow, I could really use this truck. My family's had a rough 2 years. I am a landscaper, and it's like, oh no, this is $1 billion. AOC clearly has no idea what. So I mean, and the joke wasn't that Democrats were stupid, right? The joke there was like, man, the middle class is there's just nothing they can do to not get screwed.
They can't win. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So, it's hard to do because it does feel good to bully the bully. It does. But the comedy has to come first. You have to be funny. And in order to be funny, there has to be like some sort of love. Like, I don't hate Democrats at all. I love Democrats. I got Democrats in my family. I want them to kind of like get with it a little bit. Like, and a lot of them are. To their credit, a lot of them are. We're never going to get the apology that we deserve, but a lot of them at least are like, at least they're getting a little quieter. At least they're like, all right, maybe I need to sit the next couple months out, But if it's from a place of hatred, there's nothing funny about hatred. There's nothing funny about propaganda. Activism. If you're an activist, by nature, you want to be taken seriously. So if your activism and your narrative comes before the comedy, you're shit comedy. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. You come off too preachy or too much of an activist, and it comes off angry or mean-spirited. And then I think the audience, if you're not preaching to the choir, the audience can get turned off by that. I think there's a way too to make, if you're a liberal or a conservative comic and you're performing for the opposite type of audience, if it's funny, they'll still laugh. They'll still enjoy it.
That's the thing, right? We're all humans. There's connective tissue, Don. Like, we're all humans.
Exactly.
All of us have got to pay bills, right? Going back to that sketch. I don't care if you're liberal or conservative. You get it. Hey, bro, I really need this truck.
Exactly.
Just let me, please just get this to me, okay? Please. All right, I'm gonna have to slow down on my conversation. I know you're very desperate. I know you're hurting, but this is an honest game show. We don't cheat here.
It's the car that I've been looking at for so long. Please just don't. I need that truck.
If you really do one more dollar than me, if you Price is Right me on this, I will kill you. And I don't care who you are. So wait, Bernie Sanders, you said it should be free. Everything's free, and now the Ford F-150 is $37,123. I really like my truck. That's a great truck. It's like, no, stay free. Say free. You say everything's free. Say this one's free. It's not about Bernie being an idiot. It's about the little guy getting screwed. That's we've all been there. I don't care who you are. We've been a little guy getting screwed.
Yeah.
And that's just one of those little things from the art form. Like, just make sure that it's about us. It's about the little guy. It's a low, as George Carlin said, comedy is a low man's art. It's a low art form. It's for the common man. You know, this guy it's a little lampoon of this guy, a little satire of this guy, but it's really about this. It's about the love of the common man, and this guy's getting screwed, right? So
Exactly.
That's what now the Bernie Sanders character, which Jason Scoop crushed, right?
Yeah.
Now that's very, very funny what he did, but that's not the bit. Right? Is this making sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. The joke is in Landau's character, the middle, the every guy.
Yeah, the audience prize, the straight
right.
Man.
Yeah, getting screwed because, and that's the one we all can relate to. That's where the funny is.
Correct.
So please remind me, what did my buddy over here? What was his response?
48,220.
No. $48,023.
$48,023.
MSRP.
I'm going to say, what was it, 48,23?
Yes.
48,23.
I'm going to go 48,024.
Wow, that's a dick move.
The fully loaded Landscaper Pacific Ford F-150 is $48,030. $48,030.
You win again tomorrow. Find out how much is that.
I'll drink
He's killing him. And AOC is taking pictures.
Gerard Michaels, thanks so much for taking the time, my friend. Tell everybody where they can find you and follow you and all that stuff.
Yeah, sure. Right now, our websites are under construction, but eventually you can go to GerardMichaels.com or slickn, the letter N, thick.com. But right now, the best thing to do is probably Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok. That's Gerard Michaels or Gerard DGAF. Gerard, don't give a, and Slick and Thick show. And you can listen to Slick and Thick on gasdigital.com every Monday and Saturday at 2:00. And if you use code SNT30, you can listen for free for a full month.
Nice, man. Great show. I love the podcast. Love what you guys are doing. You rock as always, man. Thank you so much for taking the time, Gerard. And we'll definitely looking forward to working with you soon and seeing you soon, bro.
You're one of the good ones, Don. Absolutely. And we got to talk about that pickleball movie, baby. It's got to get moving.
Yes, let's do it, man. Gerard Michaels, everybody.